Her mother's having one of these fits, and she's like, I'm not doing this with you right now. Like, you can do it yourself. I'm done. So she leaves. She goes to Gideon's apartment next door. Gideon comes home. She tells him what happened. And he tells her, he wants just a night. No, she says to him, I want a night of just pleasing you. And at first he's like, no, no, no. Because like he gets off on watching her come. And so he finally concedes. Of course he's going to concede because it's Eva. She's eventually going to get what she wants. It's with both of them. It's not like one person does more than, it's with both of them. They're both, eventually they will concede to each other. And he tells her, I'll do it. He was like, but then I get you for a whole weekend out of town. And she's like, all right, I agree. So later on, they get a call from Carrie, and she talks to him about going, let's go to San Diego for a weekend, for the weekend after next, and just get out of here. They want to go see their group therapist. I cannot think of his name. It'll pop up eventually. And Carrie's like, yeah, because I could use a session with him. Yeah, we need to go. Then Carrie told her, oh yeah, and there was this woman named Deanna Johnson that called for you. And so Eva's like, Carrie, if she calls back, you tell her nothing. And he's like, okay, no problem, whatever, And she let him know, she's trying to get, gossip on Gideon, and I'm not doing it, So she hangs up, and then she tells Gideon, I'm going to call Deanna. Of course, he objects. He's like, why would you want to do that? Like, she's like, listen, we're in this together. You handle things for me. I'm going to handle some things for you. So we find out that Deanna knows about the threesome in the living room, and that Gideon hit the guy. I think his name was Ian. He hit him, and that guy is suing him. And also about the Brent Klein fight at the concert over her. Eva tells her it's all false, and that she needs to get over the fact that he fucked you and then it didn't work out. And Deanna was like, he treated me like I was nothing. That right there lets me know you're not about it's not about anything else about the fact he hurt your ego. I'm sure she's a beautiful woman, and you thought you had a real shot with this billionaire man. And basically you didn't, and it hurts you. That's what it is. If you fuck somebody once and then they don't want, okay, we're done. No problem. But you want to destroy this man. That's a whole problem. I'm like, she needs to go lay on somebody's couch, for real, because she's a little too concerned. And I was glad Eva could see precisely what it was. Not this whole, oh, he must have made her feel loved. And no. I mean, I'm sure he made her feel special. But, I mean, that's still no reason for you to now try to literally try and, destroy the guy. That's kind of crazy. You got fucked once. Get over it. So she gets a call from her mom, and she wants to come by for lunch, and they, have a conversation. She agrees. And her and Gideon, they get into it again about her working at Crossfire Industries, in I guess public relations. And she declines him again. She goes out with the girls. They have a great night. She sees her stepbrother Martin. She introduces him to Lacey, who I think is Megumi's roommate. They hit it off. Then she drunk dials Gideon, and of course he's in the office upstairs. You got to remember, this is his club. And you knew he was going to be there, this control freak. You know he's going to be there. So he's tells her to come up to his office. And this was such a great scene to read. I'm not even going to lie. It was a great scene. So there's a two-way mirror. So he has her up against the mirror looking out, and he's fucking her from behind. It was so hard to read. And the whole time, while he's doing it, he kept saying to her, I was made to fuck you, you feel so tight. He says the greatest things. I absolutely love it. So they just have all this hot, nasty, great sex. And then, of course, they have this explosive orgasm. So the next day, she starts getting a bunch of calls from her mother, Carrie, and then her father. Well, once Nathan died, his records were now unsealed from when he was underage. Now Victor, her father, has found out everything, and he is pissed and he is hurt. He's yelling at Eva that, your mother should have told me. She was like, I told her not to. And he was like, that wasn't your place. You were a child. I should have known. I should have fought harder for you to stay with me. And it's like, he's like, how could she not see the signs? He's like, I knew something was off with you. I knew it. And he tells her, he's going to get on the next flight out to New York. And she goes to Gideon's office. She hears him on the phone. He's talking to Corinne. She tells him about what happened. And then she asks, she didn't forget that he was on the phone with Corinne. She's like, she doesn't want to discuss, and kind of changes the subject by saying, he'll help her with her mother by going to her and kind of telling her that, in other words, like, he's trying to work his way back. And then that'll give her mother something to focus on. Because if if he goes to the mother, then clearly he wants something serious with Eva. So then it'll set the whole scene for them getting back together. So she calls Carrie and tells him what's going on. Then she gets a call from Richard, and he's like, you need to be more understanding of your mother. And Eva just kind of unleashed on him. And I was glad she did, because Richard just pretty much allows the mother to have these emotional, manipulation moments, and he caves to it, right? And they all do it to her. And again, if a person knows something worked, they're going to keep doing it. So that's what she does. And she was wrong in this situation. She should have let the father know she didn't do it. And so, yeah, there's an issue now. She doesn't like the fact, because Victor, her father, had called and went off on her mom. Because he was pissed, as he should have been, because he shouldn't have had to find out that way. And basically he said, when he saw how Eva looked when they mentioned that name, he knew what she was telling him wasn't everything. And he started digging. And then he was able to find out. And I was like, you know what? I was glad. But she went off on Richard, and she's like, you know what? This is the problem. We do this, and then she continues the same behavior. She's like, I'm done with it. This is her fault. She did, he has every right to be upset. He's pissed at me too. It's not like he's just mad at her. Like, he's mad at me too, because we kept something so huge from him, So it didn't really stir Richard, because Richard is all about her mother and all about what will please that woman. So it really falls on deaf's ear with Richard. It is what it is. So Megumi that day, she's like complaining about the guy that she's dating, and that she's going to end it. So basically he's one of those guys, he just, they fuck, and then he kind of acts like he wants something, but then he really doesn't. And so he's kind of stringing her along. But he does tell her he dates other people. But it's kind of like he tries to give her the impression like he doesn't really want her to do it. It's just a bunch of games. And so she's like, I'm sick of this, she's going to like end it. So she's also, one day she says she's going to tag along with Eva, because she was like, how do you stay in shape? And so Eva does the whole Krav Maga, goes to the gym type of thing. But she eats what she wants, but she works out hard. So she's like, I'm going to have to come with you one day. So her father comes to town, and I think it was like the next day or something, they do like, they had this beautiful, it was this moment. He was, she could tell he was tired from like the layovers and everything. And they just have this big hug. It was nice. And they wound up doing a Krav Maga class together. So apparently when she was talking about it, his previous visit, he was like, you know what, I'm gonna look, started looking into it. So he started taking some classes too. So that was cool. So Corinne, she's been trying to call Gideon, and he feels bad because he feels like in some of his words he might have misled her. And then Eva tells him, don't feel bad, because she tried to insinuate that you guys were fucking. And then when she said that, and she told him this scene when she went to the apartment and what Corinne did, Gideon lost all sympathy. He was like, oh, that's what she did? Oh, well, never mind. It's whatever. So she goes to work and she sees him talking to Corinne, and she even reached up to try and kiss him. And she did that after she saw Eva, but of course, Gideon backed away so she couldn't kiss him. And so now Eva's blood is boiling. But she doesn't feel insecure like she did before. Like, it doesn't make her feel like, oh my God, there's something there with him. She doesn't feel that way. She does feel a little bit more steady, stable in this chaotic, obsessive, unhealthy relationship. So she gets to the elevator, and then of course it stops. Everyone's in the elevator, like, look around like, what the hell? Like, no one's getting off. And then she realizes it's Gideon. So she gets out of the elevator. And the first room they get to, he takes her in. It's some random room. He takes her in and he fucks her. And at first, before they started fucking, he was just like, don't be mad at me. She's like, listen. She's like, do you want to sit up here and talk about your ex for 30 minutes, or do you want to fuck? Like, I don't really want to talk. And then they have a great session. So Megumi goes to lunch to end it with the guy Michael, and she screws him and then tells him it's over. So that fucked with his head. That was funny. She asks Eva, come along with her, to work out. And they leave. They go to Eva's apartment. And when she gets there, opens the door, her mother's there dressed in her clothes. So right away, Eva knows what happened. So she tells Megumi, listen, I'm not feeling that well. Just can you kind of take a cab with my mom? So then Victor comes out, fresh shower, and Eva just lets into him. And she's like, how disrespectful of you to do this. Like, Richard pays for this place, and you fuck his wife in here? And he was just like, at first, hey, don't you talk to me like that. But shit, she nailed him. Like, listen, what else can you say? She's like, damn, at least have like, it's fucked up that you're doing it, but at least go to a hotel or something. Don't fuck in the bed on where he pays for it. That's crazy. So she goes in her room. She texts Carrie to get home. She tells him what happened, and he's like, I know they was fucking. That's why I left earlier, because I could hear them. So she talks to her dad, and he, of course, was ashamed of what he'd done, but he was like, he still was in love with her mom. And while she's on her way to work the next day, she gets a call from Brent. He just pretty much wants to confirm the deets for tomorrow night. Then he asked her to go to dinner, but he's like, I just want it to be the two of us, not Carrie. And at first she's like, what, do you have an issue with Carrie? He's like, no, but can I just have like some time alone with you, And she's like, okay, cool, we can do that. But she's already set up in her mind, like, listen, she's in her head, she's like, she's just going to go to one of Gideon's restaurants, so she'll be safe. So then Megumi shows up and tells her that, Michael's been blowing my phone up constantly. And again, it's just because she let go first. And it's not that he cares. It's just she let go first. So she was getting ready for the event when Detective Graves and her partner show up. So the detective tells her that apparently they found tons of photos of her at a Russian mob guy's house. They said his name. I don't remember it. And that he's into all kind of stuff, trafficking, everything, just anything. So Nathan always wore this sapphire bracelet from his mom, and this bracelet was on the Russian guy. So apparently the Russian guy's own people took him out because he was messing with the boss's like underage daughter. So they think he is the one that killed Nathan. So she goes to the gym with Megumi, and guess who shows up? Deanna Johnson. And so Eva basically was like, just go yell at the man, throw a drink at him to make yourself feel better. And she was like, that isn't going to make me feel better. I know what's going to make me feel better. And I have proof. Corinne Giroux verified everything. And Eva says, why don't you talk to Mr. Giroux? And then Deanna was like, I'll just see you around. So she goes home, and then later that night she goes to Gideon's. He's falling asleep. He's having a nightmare. But it isn't like the other ones where he's saying like, don't touch me there. It's not like that. This one is like, you'll never hurt her again. So he's having dreams about what he did with Nathan. So she grabs